thought he was something special. And I said to my friend, okay, all right. And he thought I was really a hick from Oregon, and that was true. And then within a couple months, we were living together for a few years. So I got to see him work through his process, which was wonderful and frustrating and beautiful and all that. And stayed in touch off and on throughout the years, and I just am glad to be here, and I'm thankful to Zara you let me be here today. And it's beautiful. He would have loved it. So I want to read Time Was Music with Lily, which was my favorite poem of his, always. Time was music with Lily. Something played early, certain autumn mornings, the aroma of coffee brewing over small fires, and the slow, slow jazz of waking. When Lily was inspired, music became light through the trees in the clearing where she danced, round the remaining roses, her feet through the leaves like small brooms, sweeping time. Thank you.
Hi everybody. I'm sure you all feel the same way I do. I see and feel Andy everywhere here. I met Andy 30 years ago when I moved here from France, and he befriended me and my son on the street, and it was just a great friendship for years and years and years. So I'm grateful. Thank you, Zara, for letting us all share our sentiments. So I just wrote a little something. Here was a man who captured and composed mirrors of ourselves, of objects surrounding our illusions, who loved strong coffee and soul talks over it, a ritual, if you will, sharing deeply his prose that expanded dimensions of our secret places that needed healing. Thank you for your fleeting gift to us, my Taurus friend. Rest well, rest well.
Hi. Yes, hi, I'm Carrie Cantor, and I also am used to seeing Andy at this event, and I'm missing him very much. I see we have some other fantastic photographers who are going to be filling in for him. So I am what I think Katinka would call a self-identified muse. I had the honor of doing a shoot with Andy, and what was amazing about it was he truly made it like a collaboration. He said, we're going to collaborate on some portraits, and he really kind of let me call the shots. I was amazed, and we did a really wonderful shoot, and the photos are up on my Facebook page for anybody who's interested, and I miss them a lot. And our shoot involved a lot of roses, so there's a line in this song that is kind of appropriate, and every time I sing this song I think of Andy, so it's a Joni Mitchell song. Ooh, that's way too loud. Can we turn down the guitar? Whoa, no good. Maybe we could mic the guitar?
No, just, Bruce, turn the guitar down, please.
Is that down? Maybe we better to mic the guitar?
Just turn you down.
It's got to be really soft for this. All right, should I try? All right. Like the one cannot be without you. I keep your house in fit repair. I adjust the portraits daily. Your mail comes here from everywhere. The writing looks like ladies. Lady, please love me now. I am dead. I am a saint. Turn down your bed. I have no heart. That's what you said. But I can be cruel. But let me be gentle with you. Pretty years, and we began to weather, and I was left to winter here, while you went west for pleasure, and now you're flying back this way, like some lost homing picture. Changed you with religion. Lady, please love me now. I was dead. I am no saint. Turn down your bed. Lady, have you no heart? That's what you said. Oh, but I can be cruel. But let me be gentle with you. Like the ones of ladies, but now their faces follow me, and all their eyes look shady. La da da dum dee 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 dee. La da da da. Rest in peace, Andy.
Hi, everybody. My name's Frank, and anything that I say, you should know, will be colored by my deep and intense envy for Andy and his ability to gain the friendship and even love of so many women. I don't know how he did it. Well, maybe it was his work, his photography. I knew him for about 8 or 9 years, and we were kind of like oil and vinegar. We could fit together, but it was not always the case. For me, Andy was totally dysfunctional in every area of life except one, but boy, was he good in that one. So, I'm grateful to him for 3 things. One is introducing me to Zara and showing me beautiful photographs of her. 2 is introducing me to Katinka. And 3 is I published my poetry a couple years ago. Without seeing it, I told Andy, you took photographs of me once, and I may be the only man that he took photographs of who wasn't performing. And I said, I want to use one of your photographs on the back of my poetry book. Photo, Andy Cohen. He said, great, sure, I love it. So there it is. Now the irony is, he didn't like my poetry. And he told me as often as he possibly could that he didn't. But he would also tell me he liked my photography, which was great praise from the master. So I'm going to read a poem that I wrote many years ago, but it applies to Andy, if anyone in the world. This applies to Andy. And what he didn't like about my poetry in part was that he told me it rhymes too much. Yes. This poem rhymes a lot. So here, Andy. In the June month of '71, I set out sailing toward the sun in a boat that could barely float. I knew the Isle of Death be my destiny. My vessel would wreck there ultimately. So my soul had to seek the realm of immortality. The third day out, it began to rain. Fresh, wet thoughts on my dried out brain. Elaborate patterns formed on my mind's window pane. A poem came. The soul is the sea of reality. Don't swim with rationality. Float with sensitivity. Float free. There is sunken treasure for you to see. You won't find it by standing on the shore anymore. You must let yourself be washed away. Andy let himself be washed away every day, and that sunken treasure. Thank you.
First of all, thank Zara for allowing me to be a part of this and for putting this together. It's really an honor for me to be here. I am not a self-identified muse. I don't think I'm even a potential muse, or maybe I am. But, and I'm inviting my friends Bob and Meg to join me. And I guess I first met Andy 5 years ago, I think through Zara and Meg. I was doing a stint on TV 34, and Andy was there with Zara. And as some of you know, I volunteer with Post in the Burbs, and I do the promotion and publicity. And 5 years ago, we were having a big show, and we were in a little bit of a pinch. We didn't have our regular photographer, and we're having Richie Furay, and I was like, Andy, I'll ask Andy, what the worst you do is say no, you know, it's a volunteer kind of thing. I'll volunteer. And I messaged him, and he said, sure, I'll be there. Just tell me what time, and I'll be there. And then he shot a number of shows, many shows over the subsequent years. And when I heard about this, I just thought, well, one of the things is that I've never done this, by the way. I've never done this. Maybe just sung Baby Beluga.
Is this your maiden voyage and publicly performing?
Yeah.
Gail Preston, ladies and gentlemen.
Other than playing Baby Beluga at my daughter's 5th 5-year-old birthday party, that's true. And my husband's 60th party, but that was a different story, Bob. Thank you. So, anyway, so one of the shows that Andy shot was of Garland Jeffries. And everything Andy did was fabulous. But Garland's a very dynamic performer, and he's always on the move, and he's just really right there in the crowd. And Andy really captured Garland exceptionally well. And one of my favorite shots, which the day before Andy passed away, I did see him in the hospital and spend some time with him. And we talked about some of those shows and memories, and he remembered that shot where he caught Garland Jeffries in midair, because Andy was really good at capturing people in midair, some of you know. So he laughed about that, and he said he remembered that. So in his honor, in his memory, I'm going to sing New York Skyline. And again, I'm so happy for Meg and Bob to join me. So, and thank you for being in this, having this warm space, and thank you again, Zara.
in my world. Oh yeah, so bright. Thank you, Andy. Gail Cousins for Melbourne.
Is there a Laura here? Laura? 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 Nara? Laura? Okay, sorry. Okay, she's not coming. Okay.
Dave's not here. Hi, my name's Richard Mack.
Okay, we need this mic up. Hold on.
Andy asked, is that the one it's on?
Take two. Richard Mack introduces himself at Andy's. Whew, what a beautiful crowd. What a beautiful crowd. Welcome, Leroy. Had a great sound in it.
My name's Richard Mack. Most people call me Rick. I met Andrew Cohen through a very good friend of mine, Al Long.
Microphone. Can't hear you.
Not in the mic, please. Get on the mic. On this mic.
Both mics.
No. What would you like?
Silver one. 'Cause it's not-
The silver one.
No, this one here. The
This
middle
one here.
Try it.
Anyway, Andy's a great guy. He will live on forever in his work. His work is on Fifth Eye Photography. His work is available. The proceeds of that go to what Andy wants in this community, which he loved very, very much. So he asked me if I would take care of it. I don't know what that means, but we'll figure it out. So the reason I came is to introduce my friend Alain. If it wasn't for Alain, I never would have met Andy. We did some videos for Alain talking about his work and his legacy here in Montclair. For over 20 years, he's been creating some of the most beautiful landscapes in Montclair. And it was Alain that introduced me to Andy. And Andy and I did very well together. We went on some beautiful sails together. We went on some great photo shoots together. And we did a number of great events together that will live on. And the results of those events are in his work. And I think that Andy's one of those artists, like so many, Van Gogh, one that comes to mind, that his work lives on and is noticed and continues to grow and flourish. And I do hope that happens to Andy, because that's the way I look at his work, and I think many of you share the same way I do. Thank you.
Hello, guys. They're great. We're all here because of this guy. You know, all these women who are in love with him, all these guys who really appreciated his friendship. So I met him one day when he was just on the street. That's like he was known as the street cameraman back then. You know, you would be walking around and just like listening to the birds and just like, oh, click. You know, like introducing himself to anybody there and say, can I take a photo? You know, it was a lot of fun. So we stayed in each other's life ever since. And I must say I have learned a lot of things from him in some ways I didn't expect. He also made me meet a lot of people that I never thought would come into my life. Thank you.
Who?
Yeah. And so even though he's gone, he's here, he'll be here, like Rick said, forever. And I'd like to say a couple of things about him since I met him about 25, maybe like 30 years ago actually, on Midland Avenue. He took a picture of me and I was smoking a cigarette. I was in my landscape work clothes. And he recently, about a couple of months ago, he said, Alan, I got something for you. So he gave me that picture. That was like amazing to me. So in between, we went to Native American Indian places, teepee ceremonies, especially in a special place in Pennsylvania called Turtle Acres. And that became one of his favorite places there. We went into it like full heart. And on our way there, on our way back, he always liked me to go take pictures of rust. He loved rust. You know? So I took him to all locomotives, all this, all sheds, cemeteries. He made me go to many cemeteries. And yeah, he was just, the reason why his personality struck a chord with me is that we have so many different interests, just like I am so many interests. And that's how we bonded, you know. So definitely, he would be someone who will stay in my heart and in all of us hearts for a very long time, and only maybe time from now shall we realize how profound we have changed since we know him. He's leaving a legacy in our heart that's always going to be there and nurturing us as we get a little bit older, you know. So I wanted to introduce a friend, since my other friend is not here today. I'm talking about famous Uncle Lou. Lou Ross is someone who speaks, who is an elder in the Native American Indian religion, and also a Buddhist, and I have a long story going with him. But he and Uncle Lou really finally bonded. They loved each other and hated each other. Why? Because Andy always pretended he wrote the best poems. And the other guy, the older man, like a spiritual networker, tried himself at that. And Andy used to say, "You suck at this, you really do, you should do something else." But anyway, they love each other, and Andy always said, "I have never met someone with the purest heart as Uncle Lou, who is now in his 80s. He should have definitely been here today, but he's in Canada with his family, he couldn't make it." So I ran into this friend over here, Nell, and Nell could do a little bit of what Uncle Lou cannot do. And Nell, if you would mind coming here, I'll give you a few minutes, so thank you.
Hi, I just want to say a couple of words about Andy and first impressions, which tend to last a long time. The first time I met Andy, Zara was doing her TV show. And the moment I walked in the room, all of a sudden a large lens was stuck in my face, surrounded by gray frizzy hair. And I had no idea who this person was, and I looked behind the lens and I saw glasses, and I said, "Do I know you? And do we know each other?" Okay. Okay. Is that okay? Closer? Hi. Anyway, I said to Andy, "Do we know one another?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "But I've never met you before." He said, "It doesn't matter." But that, to me, was the essential Andy. That's the Andy that I got to know over the last few years. Not nearly as many of you, but whenever I saw him and whenever we spent time together, particularly with Zara and some of the other people that he photographed, he connected. He connected immediately. He connected with me that day at Zara's TV program by sticking that lens in my face, and he never unconnected. He had a way of weaving himself into your life, and you sort of he allowed you to weave yourself into his life. So it was a constant connection, a constant give and take.
How many shoots did we do at your house?
Oh God, we did so many. A lot. But the only thing I can really say about Andy is that I know he's here with us, and I hope that he's still weaving his way into our lives, and wherever he is, I hope they've given him a camera. Godspeed, Andy.
He's taking pictures.
Hello, my name is Joanna. Andy has been my friend all these 15 years in this part of the world. We shared birthdays, so in a way, my birthday is never going to be my only, because he had the same birthday as I had. Okay. There are so many things I would like to say about Andy, because I have only this couple of minutes. I would like to share my last experience with Andy. A week ago, I went to his apartment with Katinka, Ginny, Zara, and Alain to sort the things out. I was the first person there. Katinka gave me the key. I bravely climbed the stairs, I opened the door, and I found myself in this empty, familiar and unfamiliar place, really not knowing what to do with myself. I stood there for a moment, like pondering the situation, what to do, what can I do? The place was empty, I knew the place, but at the same time I didn't know it any longer. So what I did, I randomly picked a book which lied on a bed, and it was spiritual advice for Jews or something like this. The book I would never really read, but in the situation I opened the book at random, thinking to myself, talking to the book, and in a way talking to Andy at the same time. Something like, talk to me. And I randomly pointed at something in the book, and there was a quotation from Oscar Wilde in the Spiritual Guidance for Jews. Who quotes Oscar Wilde in any kind of spiritual guidance book? So I wondered if it was a universe kind of turning it into a funny, crazy, ironic situation, or it was Andy joking as always. So for the last week I was reading Oscar Wilde, thinking what I can read here, and I found this little poem. To outer senses there is peace, a dreamy peace in either hand, deep silence in shadowy land, deep silence where the shadows cease. Save for the cry that echoes shrill from some lone bird disconsolate, a corncrake calling to its mate, the answer from the misty hill. And suddenly the moon withdraws her sickle from the lightning sky, to her somber coven flies, wrapped in a veil of yellow ghosts. Thank you. Thank you, Andy.
Hi, my name is Delaney and Chusek. I've known Andy since I was 14. I got pretty used to seeing him around town, and let's see. Andy knew about me before I knew about him because we lived in the same apartment complex that I didn't know that, and there was a laundry room, and the laundry room had a brick wall, and it was very echoey in there. The acoustics were really nice for singing. And I was like a little singer. I would sing like everywhere that I went, walking down the street and everywhere. So I would sing at the top of my lungs and sing my heart out when I was doing my laundry. So when I finally met Andy one day on Church Street, and I was 14, I was sitting next to John Zupa of the Jitters, and he snapped a photo we got to talking, and he found out that I lived in the same apartment complex, and he asked me if I had heard this girl singing down in the laundry room. And I told him it was me, and like a friendship was born that went on for years and years and years. And he started to take photos of me intermittently all my life up until this time, and he was like such a presence and one constant in my life that I could say was there all the time. I always looked forward to seeing him. He was a consummate artist. I had never met an artist before. He showed me what an artist was. Even though he worked at other jobs such as Catherine Gibbs, Whole Foods, and a lot of other places in between, his one true commitment was to his art and to the beauty that he would find in the art. And I'm gonna miss him so much, because it didn't matter how much time went by. When we talked, it was just as if we had spoken the day before, and it was never ever different. And I'm gonna miss him forever, even though I can still feel his presence right now. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Awesome. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ariel, and Andrew was one of my closest friends. We've done art shows together. We've done countless photos. I loved him more than a friend. In many ways, he was like my surrogate dad. And I will miss him more than words can say. And now it's easier for me to sing than it is for me to speak. Them that's got shall have, them that's not shall lose. So the Bible says, and it still is news. Mama may have, yes, and Papa he may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. Rich relations give crust of bread and such. You can help yourself, but don't take too much. Mama may have, yes, and Papa he may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own. Bonnie, you've got lots of friends. They're crowded around your door. And when you're gone and spending ends, they don't come no more. Rich relations give crust of bread and such. You can help yourself, but don't take too much. Mama may have, yes, and Papa he may have, but God bless the child that's got their own. Oh, that's got her own. It's got her own.
Hey, how you doing? My name's Sal. As we all know, Andy was a singularly unique spirit. And I know he's here right now. And he's loving this. I originally met Andy, I was doing an Indian pipe ceremony in Montclair. And Andy happened to be there because as much as he liked to take photographs, he loved ceremony, he loved the spiritual life. And he lived his life as a ceremony. It was part of who he was. The struggle became his art. And that's why his art is so powerful, because he lived that struggle every day. So after that meeting, he's like, "Are you Indian?" I'm like, "No, I'm Italian from Brooklyn." He goes, I'm a Jew from Manhattan, near the Bronx. And he's like, "How weird is that?" He's got all this Indian, jewelry on him and all this stuff, and I got this drum and this pipe. Couldn't be too much of a bizarre combination, so we became fast friends. I worked in film, and I told him, let's try to collaborate. And it took a few years, and as I started making a bunch of short films, I'd always call Andy, and he would come with his camera. And it was amazing because what we were trying to capture on film, sometimes he captured even better with the still photography. It was a great balance. So near the end, we were just in this past year shooting our first feature film, and I knew Andy was struggling. I didn't know exactly where he was health-wise, and I called him up and I said, I love you. I'd love you to be on this project, but he said, no, I want to be there. This is medicine. He says, it's medicine. And I said, I know, Andy, but you tell me if you can't do it. You tell me if you can do it. I said, if you want to do it, I'll have somebody bring it to the set. And many times he came as we were shooting this film to the set. He was scrambling through the woods a half a mile, tumbling over branches and trees, and we'd help him up, but he was filled with this joy, and he just got some incredible images of Ariel. The day before we finished shooting, she was doing something, and he brought this incredible beauty to the project. So as it would be a week before he decided to go on this new journey of his, he calls me up in the middle of the night, and I didn't answer the phone call, but that next morning I hear, "It's an emergency, I need to talk to you, I need to talk to you." I didn't know what the situation was. I talked to Ariel, and she told me he was in a rehab. So I called him, and he's like, "No, I'm just so bored here. I just got to talk to somebody." I said, "Okay, Andy, I'm going to come and visit you on Saturday." So that Saturday before he left us, I went up there to see him, and I brought my drum with me, I brought my pipe with me, I gave him a big hug, and he was struggling, and it was hard to have fluid conversations with him. We had little snippets. He was in the bed, he was out of the bed, and he was struggling, but we were able to have some deep talks about the spiritual path and where he might be going pretty soon. So I got my drum, I got the pipe, I started singing. The nurse came in, shut me up. She left, I continued to sing. And sometime in the middle of this whole thing, I'm on the floor with the drum, pounding the drum with my eyes closed. And I opened my eyes, and somehow Andy had gotten the strength to crawl out of the bed somehow. He's sitting on the edge of the bed, half tipped over. I don't know where he got his camera from, and he's taking pictures of me, drumming. And it broke my heart, but it just gave me pure joy, because this was the spirit of Andy. And that might have been the last picture he ever took. And if it is, I'm honored that it was of me, my brother. I love you, and I love all the people that I met through him. Thank you. I love you.
Okay, now I'm going to sing.
Yeah.
After I sing, I'd like to invite Charlie up, followed by Renee.
Bruce, we got 6 and 8.
and Jonathan. So it'll be Charlie, Renee, Jonathan, and then Michael with his band.
Bruce, 6 and 8, please. Okay, that's 6, not 8, 8.
2.
Got it.
Across the evening sky, all the birds are leaving, but how can they know it's time for them to go? Before the winter fire, I will still be dreaming. I have no thought of time. Who knows where the time goes? Who knows where the time sad deserted shore, your fickle friends are leaving, but then you know it's time for them to go. But I will still be here. I have no thought of leaving. I do not count the time. For who knows where the time goes? Who knows where the time while my love is near me. I know it will be so until it's time to go. So come the storm of winter, and then the birds in spring again. I have no fear of time. For who knows where the time goes? Who knows where the time goes?
I wish I wrote that song. Charlie. Where is Andrew Cohen? He's meant to be here, right?
He is here.
He is here.
Yeah, he owes me money.
I just want to start this off with, it's a practice that Andy and I did when we, in his last few months, whatever, when we hung out. It's called the POA. It's a Buddhist practice. For your blessing, grace, and guidance through the power of love and light that shines down from you. May all of Andy's karma be purified. May all his blockages and obscurations be removed. May he know himself forgiven for all the harm he may have thought or done. May he be happy and peaceful in his death. And may his death benefit all sentient beings. I had the great privilege to be with Andy a few hours before he passed, and we did that. And he liked doing it. So I felt it was appropriate that we do it now. I first met Andy back somewhere in the 80s. You know, the arts brought us together, and he actually documented my first public art project I did in Montclair. And, you know, life goes on, you run into him, you run out of him, you don't want to see him, you run out of him again, you come again, and we had this great relationship that was just, we could not see each other for years and then be like brothers. And we did some things in Patterson together a few years back. That was pretty cool. And then I ran into him down at the farmer's market. And he told me what was up in a very matter-of-fact way. And I just said, listen, man, when you need something, just give a call. And so we started to talk, and we started to do some things. And one of the coolest things we did is we took him to the Patterson Falls. And we kind of broke into Hitchcock Stadium and took photos. You know. Yeah, kind of sort of broke in. You know, and that was the highlight of his day. And then I took him back to Hitchcock Stadium and had the midget races. And then we went, you know, I would like to see him as much as I can. So that's my story with Andy, but I was trying to write something, and I decided that I found something that was written by somebody else that was really appropriate. So I just want to read it. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I'm not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circle flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I'm not there. I do not die. Mary Elizabeth Fry. Andy, we love you.